Greetings, happy April Fool's Day. I'm Khoo Chong, joined by Charlotte Chong, and it is April the 1st, 2016. Of course, we saw some April Fool's jokes today, but I mean, my personal favorite in terms of what Malaysians wish would happen.
Which is not going to happen.
Which is not going to happen, but it could be an April Fool's joke one day. Malaysia qualifying for the World Cup.
Oh, abolishing GST too.
Wishful thinking.
So, but what did you get pranked today? Did any of your friends
They tried to prank me, but of course I was too sharp. I got over it very quickly. Did you?
Yes, I got it. I got it this morning.
You're
but forget
naive.
about it.
You're very naive, Charlotte.
Let's look at KLCI today.
Right.
KLCI down 7 points or 0.4% to 1,711 points today. 1 week performance 0.4%, and it's supported by
0.4%.
Yes, up 0.4%.
Always the best
it's
direction.
supported by a better Brent crude oils. Crude oil prices have been going up as well, and also better performance in Ringgit.
Yes, exactly. Actually, rising oil prices has been the one single reason why the ringgit and the share market has been rising. So actually, the KLCI is up by 1% year to date and up by 0.4% on the week. With the stocks which moved today, the downers were Tenaga, CIMB and Gamuda, and the uppers were DRB, IGM and Protasco.
So we mentioned about US dollar versus Ringgit. It was at 3.89 last traded. And it has been sustained above 4, actually below 4 throughout the week this week. And that's a 6.65% appreciation in 1 month, one of the most
if not
improved,
the most.
One of the most, or the most improved currencies in the ASEAN this month.
Yeah, don't forget that about a month ago it was at 4.167 to the dollar. Today we're at 3.89, and who knows where it's going to go. But of course, it all hinges on oil prices. In fact, this is the jumping the most, I think, in the quarter since 1973, 10.1% the quarter alone. So that's not bad.
Right. So Ringgit is up because of what happened in 1MDB. They say they are going to resolve some of the debts. They say they are going to sell energy assets to repay 6 billion of debt in 1MDB.
Yeah, of course, pretty soon, in a matter of months, 1MDB will just be like a bad memory, something that happened in the past, and it will be just a phantasmagoria.
But the thing is, right, many analysts they are still very bearish about currency. Some of them, they still think that Ringgit will still drop to 4.6. Our Royal Bank of Canada is projecting a slide to 4.6 by the end of June.
Correct, and I think it all hinge on oil prices. We'll be talking about oil prices in a couple of minutes, but let's move along to the region. And most Southeast Asian stock markets fell today because exactly of global concerns that economic outlook is denting sentiment. Oil prices, although they touched about $40 a barrel on the Brent front, has been falling again, and futures, we'll be talking about that, futures are also pointing downward. So falling oil did not help global share markets.
So it may or may not sustain above the $40 mark next week. But what is important this week is S&P, Standard & Poor, it actually cut a credit outlook for China from stable to negative a couple of days ago, though it maintained a rating at AA minus.
That's right, and of course the Nikkei did end 3.6% lower at 16,164 points. The Topix in Japan also dropped by 3.5%. So 1301. The Hang Seng closed at 1.3% lower at 277.78. In fact, at 204.96.92. And the Kospi and the Australian ASX also dropped. The ASX in that regard dropping by 1.6% to 4,999.39.
Now let's move along to some sad things happened this week. We're going to talk about El Nino. It has been very warm for the past few days. Bad formulation because it's hotter than
Satan's nuts.
But good for CPO prices because we see lesser CPO exports in the next few months probably, and these will help to actually give some pressure to the CPO prices.
Yeah, there's always two sides of a coin, right? Very hot means we are sweating like nobody's business, but it's also very good news for CPO prices because stocks fall and prices rise because there's less supply going around. Probably quite good for Tenaga Nasional as well because more people flicking on aircons, more electricity being used. Things like that. CPO prices have been on a tear. They've risen by quite a lot, by 27% since August, and right now stand at about 2,725 ringgit per metric ton. So that's not bad.
So analysts actually say that output is projected to fall by 2 million tons in 2016 due to the effect of El Nino.
Exactly.
So we will see lesser production from Malaysia, but CPO prices will actually go up, support.
That's right. So always a good side to every falling object. The other thing that made us sad during the week was, of course, Sona Petroleum. They closed unchanged the day at 45.5 cents. They actually had an earlier acquisition, qualifying acquisition, dropped by the wayside, Salamander Energy, and now they're trying to buy Stag oil fields in Australia. They called an EGM, but they adjourned it at the last minute, very bizarrely.
So I still remember I was at the same building that day, Shangri-La Hotel. I was interviewing Lei Hong Berhad, Managing Director, and I knew something was going on in the EGM, but I didn't manage to go in. But do you think it's a waste of time for them to have two EGMs to only focus on one thing, the acquisition of the asset?
Absolutely, they don't have much time left. They're trying to push this thing through. They're trying to sweeten the offer by giving 80 million ringgit in capital repayment terms back to shareholders, right? Which is unprecedented for
only for those
SPAC,
who vote for.
But only for those who vote nay will not get the money. So it's all very bizarre. And I understand it from sources that shareholders were going to vote for this acquisition.
They wanted to vote for it during that day,
and then
but they
management
didn't get a
pulled
chance.
it.
Correct.
And then called for another EGM.
So
really
Chairman
weird.
actually, Andreas Johan, said a number of shareholders, he said that they were not clear about capital repayment and they probably need more time to consider the deal before they have another EGM in 1 to 2 weeks' time.
Right, so the complexity of the transaction, just very quickly, was also seen in Reach Energy's acquisition. So they as well have had some complications, and they also have had to reach out to shareholders to explain what on earth is going on. Charlotte, let's move along to some happy stuff during the week. The first one of which was Bison. Had a very good IPO. They closed about 6.5% higher. They've just returned. They just reported earnings, not bad. 5 million ringgit odd on about 60 odd million ringgit revenue for the first reported quarter during their public debut.
So it's actually 0.81% higher today. So what happened was I also interviewed Bison Managing Director last
the name,
week.
By the way.
So
Charging along.
Luke, Dang Tai Luke. So what he said is they're going to improve their product mix because they are not going to solely focus on pressed products, which give them very low margin.
Like
and also
tobacco products?
Tobacco products,
right.
8 to 9%. So they are probably going to venture more on food and beverage product. But interestingly, this company is going to allocate about 36 million ringgit from its IPO process to open 115 outlets for the next 3 years.
And I wish them good luck because the next 3 years are going to be very, very trying for the economy. The second thing that made us happy during the week was the fact that Burma, or Myanmar, known colloquially, has sworn in its first civilian government for over 50 years, thereby giving Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Peace Laureate, final redemption, although she'll rule by proxy.
So Aung San Suu Kyi, she's actually barred from presidency, but she has said that she will rule by proxy, like what you say. And Myanmar, this country is going to create a new post for this lady in the country.
Yeah, of course. I can't pronounce his name, but I'm going to try. Okay, Hitin Kyo, right? He's going to take over from Tien Sin, the former big honcho. The Times have come up with a list of challenges for him to take on in terms of the whole country rebuilding. Of course, the economy is broken. There's no infrastructure to speak of, right? The rail networks are crumbling, the road networks are crumbling, the cities need power infrastructure. But of course, I mean, the World Bank reckons it's going to cost 60 billion bucks for the next 7 years or for 4 years. But that's a massive opportunity for business and economy.
So the country is actually has still failed ceasefire. You still see some war in between some of the races.
Yeah.
But Aung San Suu Kyi, she is not very vocal on the persecution of Muslims in Rohingya.
That's right. So she's not all good, basically, right?
So one of her associates actually came out and said the persecuted Rohingya is actually not a priority in their government, in the list of what they are going to do next.
Which from a human rights standpoint, I find very hard to fathom because there's over 1 million of them and you can't have entire swaths of your population leaving your country because they've been persecuted. So it's all very, very bizarre in terms of a human rights standpoint. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. If you want to get more from The Edge, go to theedgemarkets.com online, or in terms of the hard copy, get The Edge Weekly. That's on all good newsstands nationwide, as well as The Edge Financial Daily. Thank you for watching. Good night and good luck.